What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome to today's review. Yes, it has come to another review. Another game has come by. Another game has gone like the wind. Today we are going to be reviewing Silent Hill 3. Now, for those of you who got the article early on Patreon, by the way, for those of you who have signed up to my Patreon, thank you so much. For those of you who have signed up to Patreon to get the articles, I really do appreciate you all. And you got to see the article a few days early. By the way, I know I do say this periodically sometimes in videos, but if you do hear the heater go on, my bad. It is getting to that time of the year where outside and inside in particular gets as cold as a witch's tit. It's colder out here than my soul. Let's get into the video. All links for the article and everything will be down in the description below so you guys can read it. But let's dive into the post-mortem memories of Silent Hill 3. Following the same ideal with Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3 and its plotline are the same kind of immersive psychological ideal. Now, seeing as how the game is a direct continuation of the first one, we really get a clear indication of who Heather and her father really are. In the beginning of the game, I was actually really hyped because they did such a great character design. The costume design for the movie was on point, literally. Whenever I went back and watched the movie again and saw Silent Hill 3, I was just really impressed in how they did Heather Mason's clothing design. It was really good. And also the hair, the entire look, like they got her on point. But the Heather in the game is a little bit sassier, I would say, than the Heather in the movie. The Heather in the movie is like blunt and to the point, but the Heather in the game, honestly, she gives a whole new meaning to the term resting bitch face. Now in Silent Hill 3, we get a melange of different things that happen, from Heather dreaming of her own death, to her father actually dying, and also to the literal killing off of herself, which is very philosophical if you think about it. Because at the end of the game, she kills the god, which is Alessa, so she's killing the evil version of herself. Now, much like Silent Hill 2, you go throughout different versions of the game, normal parts of the game, and Silent Hill-esque versions of the game, which are called Otherworld. You're fighting creatures, you're solving puzzles, experience in-depth cutscenes, and hard camera angles once again. Yes, folks, the horrible camera angles and cheesy one-liners have made their comeback. Now, forget about Heather's phrases. Some of them are just completely redundant and useless, honestly, in the storyline. But can we please just talk about the camera angles? The way it doesn't follow you. Whenever you get to a certain part in the hallway, like, the camera just sticks at the beginning of the hallway and does not move with you until the very end of the hallway. Like, you'll see the camera in the beginning and then you'll see the camera at the end. It doesn't follow you through the entire process. And in essence, you really can't see where you're going in certain circumstances until you get to that end point, which is it's fun, right? I mean, you know, it's like I've said in the game playthrough and in other parts of even playing Silent Hill 2, for a 15-year-old game, it is way ahead of its time. It's just a shame that the mechanics weren't. Not to mention that a cutscene would trigger and linger on for a few seconds afterwards, where you just see the characters standing there with them doing nothing but looking bored. Now let's dive into the psychology of Silent Hill 3. Much like Silent Hill 2, you get a lot of intensive psychological references, particularly in Heather's case, throughout the game, with her discovering who she is and why she's even alive. Now, with her father dead, Claudia wanting to rebirth her god, basically through Heather, which is kind of a weird thing. She is Alessa, so she's trying to rebirth Alessa through Heather, who is it's confusing. With all of these different monsters now intermingled into the mix, it's safe to say that if Heather were to be psychoanalyzed, she would have what is called dissociative identity disorder. This used to be coined as the term multiple personality disorder, but in recent years it has been changed to DID. I give her this diagnosis for a reason, considering the fact that when you go into a room, and you don't have to go into this room, it's completely optional, but there are no bullets, no anything, just a sink, a mirror. If you stay in that room too long and you stare at the mirror for too long, you will start to turn into Alessa. Heather will then die if you stay in the room for too long, and then all that's left is Alessa. I find this so telling because the entire objective of the game is to kill off the evil version of yourself. Now, even in one of the saved rooms, and this is getting towards the end of the game, we find a painting of Alessa holding Heather. She is holding her as a baby, symbolizing that she is the protector of her own world. Since Silent Hill is made of the person's individual fears, Heather is mother to the child that is her. Now let's get into the part where I had a real gripe with how the consistency was from the video game as it translated into the movie. You guys, Hollywood done did fudged up. I mean, are we really surprised about this? The first movie that Silent Hill was based off of, I was actually really a big fan of, considering the fact that it was the first thing I ever saw from Silent Hill. I didn't know that there were games of Silent Hill until I watched the first movie way back when it was made. Like I said, since I saw the movies first and not the games, I was really shocked to find out that Heather's father does not stay alive. Like, you're not finding him at the end of the game, you don't rescue him, he's just dead. But then he's actually alive in the movie. Consistency, there is none. To me, that disappointed me that the director would be as just kind of dismissive in a way, to just say, oh yeah, we'll just leave him alive, it's okay. And also, don't get me started on Vincent, okay? This Vincent guy, okay? He's no Jon Snow. Now, throughout the game, he gave me so many weird and creepy vibes, but I just couldn't shake it off. Throughout the game, Vincent just maintained his creep factor to the nth degree, and was just one of those characters that I was like, what? Okay, what, do you have a purpose here? What's going on? We know that Silent Hill is meant to have that kind of cult-esque vibe going on, but whenever you place this semi-non-believer in there, which Vincent is, I mean, let's be honest about his character, he is a semi-non-believer, borderline atheist. He loves the god Alessa, but he doesn't push his theory and his beliefs down other people's throats. To have a semi-non-believer in the cult / church that Claudia ran, I was a bit shocked by, and the fact that we all know that religion is a bit of an iffy and taboo topic to an extent. Having Vincent sort of in the middle as kind of this middle ground where he believes in the god Alessa, but he also thinks that it's okay to make up your own mind, really shows that video games can and will break boundaries. Whether it's religious, socioeconomic, political, in gender equality, anything really. Vincent is literally fighting for his freedom, and towards the end of the game, and he gets it, just not in the way that he really expected. It's in the form of a knife in the back by his own mother. Freedom, yes, just not the way he pictured. In other news, I want to know, why is Douglas the detective alive in the game throughout the entire thing, but not alive in the movie? He dies, like, in the beginning of the movie. He remains a consistent character in the game, and he gives the game a lot of multi-dimensional aspects, actually, that make things seamless, and he is somewhat of that father figure to Heather to make their somewhat a sense of balance throughout the game. And then it just all comes full circle, where in the end of the game you get a very symbolic boss battle and a tasty fetus. No, seriously, Claudia actually eats a fetus at the end of the game. Oh god. It's supposed to be the newborn god Alessa, where she's taking the burden unto herself as a humble sacrifice of guilt, passion, and a lot of things that made me go, ew. Video games weren't as politically correct back in the day, so they could get away with more as a result. Ever imagined a gaming character eating a god fetus before? That's new to me. It's actually something I thought of where it's very symbolic of the Catholic Church. Now hear me out and don't get offended for a moment, okay? This is very symbolic of the ingestion of the body and blood of Christ. People eating the body and blood to be closer to their God, while the concept is portraying the same thing, just in a more graphic sense. And even with the use of tarot cards, that's something else. It's on a whole other level with this game. Which actually, tarot cards were banned in 1367 in Bern, Switzerland, because of their links to the occult and the Jewish Kabbalah. Now, since Alessa is everything that is evil about Heather, it's not a surprise to me that the only way to get to the end part of the game is to unlock a door through using tarot cards. At the end, post-mortem memories still shock Heather as she is plagued with the haunting of her former self. Leaving the game, you have several endings that you can acquire. Throughout the first playthrough only, you are allowed one ending, which is basically you see Douglas, the detective, and you guys go along your merry way. Heather goes back to using her original name, Cheryl. There's another one that you can get where it's called the possessed ending, and you actually kill Douglas. And then there's another ending, which is just a joke ending. It's not serious, but it's one where Harry is still alive and he has UFOs blow up Silent Hill. This game will hold forever a special place in my heart, one of love, satisfaction, and just respect for its story and its creator, Hideo Kojima. But I really appreciate you guys watching my review of this playthrough. If you guys have played Silent Hill 3, let me know down in the comments below, and let me know which ending you got. But if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below, because I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and double uploads on Friday. Stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.